Hi, welcome to my Coed Song of the Trees podcast. My name is Cheryl Beer, and today you're going to meet the trees that I worked with whilst on my first residency at the Celtic Rainforests in North Wales. When I arrived, there were so many trees to choose from in a rainforest. How on earth would I know which ones to work with? I decided to trust my instinct and wait instead to see which of the trees chose me. One of the most breathtaking parts of the rainforest is the number of oak saplings carpeting the floor and how the little acorns are hatching like chicks upon both life and death. Stood in Coed Felenrhyd Rainforest, I realised that as humans we think of life in a very linear way. We are born, we live, we die, or sometimes we acknowledge a cycle of life, but being in a rainforest, it becomes clear that life and death, well, they're more of a matrix. They're one of the same thing. I found a fallen tree, just the trunk remaining, and it lay in 1,000 decaying pieces, held together like a giant Jenga puzzle. The nutrients from the dying trunk dissolved into the earth and fed the new acorn saplings. Now some of them had even embedded into the decay, and towering above, the watchful shade of the mother oak who had gifted her acorns to the forest floor. My first reaction was a very human one. Realising that most of the saplings would die momentarily, I felt sad because I wasn't truly understanding. The saplings would not die in the way that we understand it. Death was as much a part of living as life itself. The saplings that fade back into the earth will nourish the ones that grow, becoming part of them. So you see, each tree is essential to the other. I knelt down beside the trunk carcass and found a thriving sapling. Very gently, I began collating her biorhythms and converting them into digital sound, measuring the flow of her water from root to leaf tip. She was fast and guzzling, just like any baby. And once I'd spent time with the sapling, it seemed only right to connect with an adolescent oak. And as we passed the river, there was a flat area which housed not only the young oak, but two neighbours, a young sycamore and a birch. So we spent time with this young trio. Further into the rainforest, we found an adult oak. Her biorhythms were much slower and had space bigger between them. The last oak that I'm planning to work with at Coed Felenrhyd is the mother of all oak trees. She stood tall and magnificent. On closer inspection, we noticed a dog tag nailed to her trunk. Curious, we climbed the slope to read it. UKNTSP. What on earth could that mean? When we got back to the cottage, we looked it up online. It stands for the UK National Tree Seed Project, being run by Kew Gardens, collecting seeds and seedlings from significant native trees so that their genetics can be saved for the future. Wow! Not only has this magnificent oak seen back beyond the Celts, but her DNA will be preserved past all understanding of time. I can't wait to collate her biorhythms and hear beneath her bark. And on our next trip up to North Wales later this year, I'll be setting a day aside to work just with her. During my first residency, we also visited Coed Felenrhyd. It should be about a 3 or 4 mile walk to the rainforest, but as we pulled up into the car park, Alison, my hearing assistant, started talking with the locals. She's brilliant like that. She just naturally connects with people. Perhaps it's her big open smile, but I reckon it's her big open heart that they sense. Anyway, the locals told us about a sneaky shortcut which would cut down our walk to about 1.5 miles, and given that we would be carrying all the sound equipment, we were grateful for this. We trailed down a long winding track that has been installed in front of the Trosfynydd nuclear-powered dam. Stepping stones across the boggy field and up over to the first wooded area. It wasn't long before I met a brave and courageous rowan tree. The rowan tree was only able to stay alive because her roots have attached to an oak tree. Otherwise she would certainly fall and crash down into the ravine. When a tree does this, it is called inoscillation, and it's common amongst trees who grow close together. It really feels as if the oak is holding on to the rowan with all her might, but in actual fact, by holding her, the oak becomes stronger too. So it's a form of reciprocity beneath the soil. The longer I spend in the rainforests, the more I sense so much more about what we might describe as love, but that trees naturally do, without question. The Celts believed that the rowan tree was for protection, warding off evil. And for centuries, humans used to whittle the branches into small pieces and keep them in their pockets. So it seemed right to collate the biorhythms of this beautiful tree in a respectful way that enabled me to share part of her with you. Now, all of the biorhythms collected from these trees were converted into digital sound, and now I'm in my studio notating those biorhythms into music, commissioning musicians to play them, building and nurturing the team that is growing around me so that I can create a magnificent sound sculpture. In my next blog, I will talk to you in more depth about what I'm actually doing with the trees so that you get a greater understanding of my work. Thank you so much for listening, for hearing me and being part of my journey. This work is part of my unlimited commission, funded by the Arts Council of Wales. My Celtic Rainforest Residencies are organised by Coed Cadw, that's the Welsh branch of the Woodland Trust, supported by the Celtic Rainforest Project with the RSPB, Snowdonia National Trust and the Wildlife Society. My name is Cheryl Beer. I'm a hearing-impaired environmental sound artist, the conduit composer, notating nature so that you might hear her better.